And is Michael Thomas not reporting concerning for anyone drafting right now? Plus, 2019 Pros vs. Joe's Drafter, Football Guys Players Championship League winner and $100,000 FFPC champ John Gifford drops by, as well as Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship Commissioner Farrell Elliott. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour starts now.
Hands, everybody, if you got what it takes, because I'm KRS and I'm on the mic.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
With the master rhymer, that's the lead behind the video rapper. You know, the truck driver, tapper.
Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzakin addicts. I am your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman. Or is it below average? I always forget. I think it's below average host. And the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak, coming at you tonight on the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, brought to you by MyFFPC.com. Of course, live from the studio here tonight. Patron saint of fantasy football, Dave the Dizzle Gerzak, is with me as well. Coming up on tonight's show is Kiki QT, a top 25 receiver in 2019, the latest on the surprising change in the Miami backfield, and more. Plus, John Gifford hangs out with us to chat about his 2019 Pros vs. Joe strategy, and we get the latest fantasy football updates from Kentucky with the KFFSC Commissioner Farrell Elliott, and much, much more. It's exciting because we have Pros vs. Joe is going on right now, and we did 3 shows last week. We do 3 shows coming up this week. And Dave, as you pointed out earlier, this is like night 4 of 5. Or excuse me, this is the first night of 4. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
It's night 1 of 5, and we're going to have 4 out of 5 days in a row. Out of our next 5 days having a show.
Yeah, exactly. So
why did you return the stupid
because hold on. Number 1, I always forget. Number 2, you're still broadcasting. I don't know if that's necessarily good to do that.
You care.
I'm just telling you right now. All right.
Just because there's no Radio Shacks anymore, there's still places that make these cheesy, crappy microphones that we can buy them online.
It's not a microphone issue. It is an issue with
turning it on issue.
Yeah, it's a turning it on issue. So how's everything going with you, dude? We're having a bit of technical difficulties here. I should be able to fix this here shortly. But is everything going well for you, my friend?
Yeah, everything's going great for me. I'm having no problems whatsoever. The chat room is live, and it is playing through the chat. I don't know what the issues are.
The issue is we're having some difficulty
John Gifford can't call
getting John Gifford on right now, and everything else seems to be going swimmingly. Dave, can you tell everybody a little bit about what's going on for the FFPC main event this year?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, guys, the grand prize is nice. It's $500,000. $500,000. Not the crappy $250,000, subpar grand prize we used to have. Back in 2008, the grand prize was $75,000, and we only had 180 teams actually. So we've gone quite a bit sunset. However, so the early bird deadline for the early draft spots is early bird deadline, and the early draft spot deadline is kind of over. But if you haven't picked up a team yet, you can. I think it's 1850 or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
But only $1,500 for a second team. So I always say buy 2 teams at once. You can play online. You can play in Las Vegas. We have our live event is in Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. That's always a great time. Prizes are $11,000. The overall prize pool will exceed $3 million this year. So it's a time. We're actually starting drafts earlier. It is the third preseason when drafts start. This way we can override the Kentucky Women's Fantasy Football Championship and put them out of business if we can.
Okay.
Just kidding. Actually, we're going to have Farrell, our good buddy, coming in later.
Allegedly. We're gonna find out about that right now. All right. So here's the thing. So I did some finagling here, did some bulky rigging, and I believe now Dave, you probably want to get the old cans on there here on the head, and I think we have John Gifford here, and people in the chat room can let us know if they can indeed hear John. But John, are you there?
I'm here.
John is here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. The question is, can the listeners hear you? I think Dave is checking in on that right now.
Talk for Christ's sake, and you stop talking. Oh yeah, sorry, kid.
So is John coming through?
Yeah.
Dave? Perfect. All right. John, I'm going to give you the
Perfect.
I'm going to give you the long, flowery interview.
Hopefully your ice cream tastes better than this interview, though.
John has been a high-stakes player since 2001 and with the FFPC since 2009. In the last 6 years alone, he's won more than $100,000 with the FFPC thanks to back-to-back overall runner-up finishes in the world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge, plus main event and Football Guys League titles and championships in both the 1250 and 750 live auctions in Vegas. You can watch him draft right here live Monday night, 9/8 Central, in the 2019 FFPC Pros vs. Joe's competition. Please welcome in, once again, to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, Mr. John Gifford. John, welcome in tonight. How you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing a little bit better now that we have you on. We're excited for this. You know what I didn't realize when you and I are exchanging a few emails. You have been one step away from legendary greatness as you've come in second place in the playoff challenge the last 2 years. What's that been like? Oh my God! So that's still like what, 70,000 that you banked in the last 2 years on that?
Yes. Yep. 2 years ago, I lost the championship by 0.4 points.
Oh man!
So that was like just one more yard for anybody. It would have done it. So that was crazy watching that. And then last year, I got lucky and came in second. Yeah, a lot of luck involved.
There's not a lot of skill.
Well, there's mostly skill, but there is some luck. I think you and I can both admit that, no question.
Yeah, my
John,
wife and my kids bring me down. Yeah.
Yeah, don't listen to them. I mean, build yourself up, buddy.
Yeah. No, and
we're going to my dog.
Exactly.
John, I want to get into fantasy football. Clearly, we need to pick your brain and get into your personal feelings on different strategies, draft philosophy, and players. But before we do that tonight,
for the first time ever, Eric's going to ask you a question about what you do for a living.
Well, and that's the thing, because Dave sort of alluded to it. Dave and I both know what you do, but can you tell the listeners what you do for a living? And then the breaking news about your business that you can share with the listeners tonight.
Sure. My brother Roger and I and our family own an ice cream company, Gifford's Ice Cream, here in Maine. And we've been doing that all our lives. And the exciting news we got just 2 days ago is that we're the official ice cream of the New England Patriots for this year and the next 5 years. The next 5 years. Yeah, and we'll be coming up with a flavor for them. We've already got the flavor, but we can't announce it until the end of August.
Wow.
The funny thing is, my brother and I are Giant fans. But this is a business deal, a good business deal.
Well, that is fantastic.
So is it Brady Brownie batter or something like that? Edelman Crunch?
No, you're not even close.
Oh, good. I hope not. I hope that wasn't.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. My son really pulled that off. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Congratulations, dude.
By the way,
thank you.
You've been coming to Las Vegas for many years now, John, right? How many years have you been coming?
Since 2001.
2001.
The first year we came.
Wow.
Yeah, first year we came, we just came for one draft. Now we come for multiple drafts.
That's awesome. And if would it help you out if I sent you some dry ice or whatever, so you could actually for the first time bring us some freaking ice cream? Over here
actually, we serve Wahlburgers out there, and we have a few accounts in Las Vegas.
Well, what the hell?
It's all coming together.
We keep that a secret, though. We don't want to promote.
Yeah, right on.
We have Doc Kikas bringing us wine this year.
Yeah.
All right, we're the Gifford's ice cream is already out in Vegas. We just need to find it.
Yeah, just
it's all locking in.
Yeah.
ship an extra pail or two to Wahlburgers, and we'll go pick it up. That's all
There
good.
we go. There we go.
All right, this is
We're
great.
all the Wahlburgers. Yeah.
All right.
That's really cool.
That's listen. Congratulations. That is fantastic.
Well, thank you.
to hear.
Thank you very much.
And let's talk about fantasy here. We have obviously, with dawn of training camps, Dave, we got some holdout news here.
Yeah. So what's the deal, John? So we got Zeke Elliott, Melvin Gordon, Michael Thomas. Their contracts, they're not happy with them. Are you?
Yep.
You got Pros versus Joes coming up, Football Guys Drafts. Are you concerned about any of them more than the other, or in general, or what's your overall position and kind of strategy with regard to those three players?
On these, Melvin Gordon is the one that really, really concerns me. I think he's going to be staying out for a while. That's my opinion. And personally, I would not draft him until late third, early fourth. And I know somebody will probably take him in the second round tomorrow or Monday night, but I'm not going to touch him until if he was there late third. I'd have to think about it. I think he may be out for a long time, even though they're going to miss him. I think he's going to be out for a long time. And I'm not concerned about Zeke. Yeah, I'm not concerned about Zeke. He needs to get back in there by August 6th, or he's going to lose, an accrued season,
Right.
Free agency season. And Mike Thomas, I think they're getting closer. I think he'll sign. That's my opinion. So, but those guys I wouldn't shy away from, but Melvin I will.
And I agree with you actually, because one of the things I think is I think that Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys owner, I think he's kind of like a player's owner. I just don't think that. I think he personally, for his own reputation, wouldn't want a Zeke holdout, throughout the season or whatever. What do you think about that?
I agree with you. He wants to fill the seats. He wants to be a fan pleaser, and he does a great job with promoting and all. And if you don't have Zeke, the team runs through Zeke, in my opinion. I know you've got Amari Cooper and you've got Dak there, and Witten coming back, which doesn't really get me too excited anyway. But you need Zeke. You need Zeke, and he knows that.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's not a whole lot of talent behind him, which is why Jerry Jones knows that Elliott needs to get in there. Question from the chat room here tonight for you, John. Wasp Guy wants to know, Austin Eckler or Justin Jackson, the one to pick up? And before you answer that, I'll let you know right now that according to FFPC Best Ball Drafts over the last 3 days, Austin Eckler is currently going on average at the 7-11. Justin Jackson is currently going at the 13-03. Does one of those represent a better value for you? Which one of those guys are you targeting if you believe that Gordon is going to miss some time?
Yeah, I would go with Justin Jackson a little later. Even though it's a PPR league and Eckler is really good, I just think he's better suited for their offense long term and for at least first and second downs. I think he can catch the ball too. So I would wait on him. There's some other targets I'd rather take before I took Eckler anyway.
Yeah, and Eckler, he is rising. He's rising, and his price is it's not going up. It's not staying the same. It's going up. He's gone as high as the 610 over the last 3 days, and he's going to continue to rise. John, let's talk about the other news that's coming out of the Giants camp here. Sterling Shepard broke his thumb. Excuse me. Now this is in your wheelhouse here. He breaks his thumb. Corey Coleman tears his ACL. So are you dinging, and we know Coleman's out for the year, but are you dinging Shepard in your rankings? And conversely...
Are you dinging more than Eli Manning?
I don't know how much you can ding him at this point, but are you dinging Shepard in your rankings? And then you look at Evan Engram and Golden Tate. Are you moving them up your boards?
Boy, with the Giants, I think everything there is going to go through Barkley. The problem is they're going to be putting defenses aren't stupid. They're going to be putting 8 in the box, and he'll still get his yards. But I'm looking more at moving Shepard down a tier. I do rankings now, not as really rankings, more in tiers. I've had more success with that. And I like Evan Engram this year, even before the news on Shepard, because I think he's going to take some of Odell's deep routes. There's no one else. Tate is a great third down and possession receiver. And then you've got Darius Slayton, a rookie, who I think is going to move up the boards or at least get drafted. Let's put it that way. He hasn't been drafted a lot of times, but he's a guy I'm looking at late to come up and maybe grab a few, or it's going to be Cody Latimer.
Oh, Cody Latimer. I can't believe we're still talking about him in 2019,
I know,
but he is relevant.
He seems like he'd be 40. Yep.
Yeah.
He might be.
He might be. He was with Denver long enough.
Golden Tate, for what it's worth, guys, currently going at the 908 in FFPC best balls. Dave, I expect that number to rise, obviously, with the Gifford news.
I think so, too. Yeah, I think you're right.
All right,
but I'm afraid of him being number one with the Giants. Yeah, it's tough. Yep.
Yeah, he's not the size of receiver you want to be number one for sure. So let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. We're move on to, despite a hip injury last season, off-season kidney issue, Jack Doyle sounds like a kind of like a secret agent of some sort.
Yep.
Nah, it's too goofy to sound like a first.
Well, more like a CIA guy. Like, what is that?
Like a special agent. Yeah, special agent
Special
Doyle.
Agent Jack Doyle practiced the starters on the first day of Colts training camp. So Ebron is apparently not the starter after, 10, 12 touchdowns, whatever. How does that affect you as how you're viewing Doyle and Ebron himself in drafts this summer?
If he's healthy, which they say he is, my opinion, those two players are very similar. As far as how many receptions they might receive and also touchdowns, even though Ebron had 13 last year, I don't think that's going to happen this year, not with Funchess there and with Doyle back again if he's healthy. And I would take him. He's going around the 10th round, I think, or in that area. I would take him and pass on Ebron, who's going in around the 7th round. That's my opinion. I think it's a better value. Ebron scares me. He had 8 touchdowns once with Detroit, but Doyle is a better blocker. He's going to get more snaps, and he's going to see the field a lot more than Ebron will. And he's shown that in the past when they both were on the field a short time last year.
I expect the ADP to correct because right now it's pretty crazy. Eric Ebron at the 603 on average. Jack Doyle going at the 1106. That's 5 rounds of difference. And I'm
too big a spread because they're both going to be, I think you guys maybe would agree, 50 plus receptions and 500 plus yards and 4 or 5 TDs maybe for Doyle, and maybe Ebron will get, I'm thinking maybe half of last year, 6, maybe 7, because Funchess is going to steal some of those, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and we haven't even mentioned the rookie Paris Campbell, who I think is also going to have an impact on that offense too, no question.
Yep.
Let's move on, and we're talking with John Gifford tonight, a $100,000 winner in the FFPC over the last 5 years here, runner-up in the playoff challenge the last 2 years, numerous main event guys, Players Championship League titles. Let's talk about Duke Johnson here. This is a guy that we've been paying attention to over the course of the offseason. He's been in trade rumors. We don't know how Cleveland's going to use him. When you look at him, John, how do you treat him in drafts knowing that he's going to be catching passes for Cleveland for the bulk of the regular season in the FFPC? Yep. We don't know exactly what his role is going to be when Kareem Hunt comes back in Week 9. So how do you handle Duke Johnson right now? Before you answer that, I'll let you know that he is currently going at the 14-10 in FFPC best balls.
Yeah, to me, that's a good value. And the way I look at these is, he's healthy. He's on the field. Duke Johnson Hunt's not there. Hunt wasn't there last year. So I'm looking at and drafting Duke like Hunt's not there. I'm not worried about Week 9 when he comes back because so many things, you guys know this, and all fantasy players know this, so many things will happen from today until Week 9. I mean, Chubb could get hurt, and Duke could be number 1 back for a while. You don't know, or he could be traded. I doubt it, but he could be traded. And he's just a good, in my opinion, a really, really good PPR guy. And I love those kind of guys in this league. And he's going to get you the 50, 60 receptions or more, and he's going to get you some rushing yards. He's a good back, and at that place in the draft, to me, that's a great, great value. And I don't like picking a guy that's going to be out for 8. I won't pick a guy that's going to be out 8 weeks or starting in Week 9. That, to me, just is a wasted pick because I don't know if he's going to play when he gets back.
I agree with you. I mean,
too many unknowns.
I always have thought Hunt has been drafted way too early. I mean, what's his ADP?
I can tell you over the last 3 days in FFPC best balls, Dave, he is going on average at the 11:02 as high as the 7:12.
Wow.
No thanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, it just doesn't make sense. And is he staying in shape? You know, what do these guys do? Even the guys that hold out. I remember Isaac Bruce. Remember all these guys with hamstrings? And you know, I used to love Isaac Bruce, and he burned me a couple of years, and it's because these guys just get hurt.
Yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. By the way, side question, John. Have you seen the video, the video of, speaking of people that held out, Le'Veon Bell held out for a whole year, this year, and then there were rumors he was 260, and then he posted a video with a whole bunch of language on Twitter, but it was him, running and so forth. I mean, he looks like stone cold ripped. I mean, he is in fantastic
I know.
shape. Have you seen him? Have you seen Le'Veon Bell?
Yes, I have. But again, it's not with pads and everything else. I don't know. And where's the guy's head too? I just don't get these guys. To be honest, I just don't get it.
And the other thing to keep in mind, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, for what it's worth, guys, he is going as the 6th running back off the board at the end of the first round. So it is a bit of a leap of faith to take him at the 111, but you could do a lot worse, no question, Dave.
No question about it.
All right, so we've been talking about
great back.
Yep. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because we've been talking about great backs. Let's talk about Kalen Ballage instead.
Yep.
Not a great back. He took the first snap in the Dolphins' backfield, apparently over Kenyon Drake. They hate the Drake down there in Miami or something's going on. So what do you think? Is there something else that we should be taking seriously? We heard rumors that Ballage can't catch passes.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it either. And my feeling is maybe they're trying to wake up Drake a little bit. They don't like him. Something's going on there that's really weird. Or, maybe they just don't have a lot of depth there. You guys know that they got Gaskin is the third one. They got Mark Walton on the roster. I mean, not real deep. So maybe they're just seeing what they've got for a backup. And I hope they don't go into the running back by committee deal like half the teams in the NFL or more are doing now. But I don't think Kenyon Drake's spot at number 1 back is in jeopardy. Not with Ballage. I mean, wow. Yeah, that's they don't have a lot on offense anyway.
That's for sure.
No question on that. I'm just looking. I mean, I know Kalen Ballage was not a pedigreed guy. It's not like he was a first-round pick. I'm just curious as to where he went in the NFL draft. I know he came out of Arizona State, Dave. He was a 4th-round pick.
I think he was a 4th-round pick.
Yeah. 4th-round pick, 131 overall. So it certainly would be. I mean, that would be the story of the offseason for Miami if he ended up being the number 1 back. But I'm with you. Like it's very difficult for me to throw out all this information and all what we've seen with Kenyon Drake to consider him a backup at this point in the season, Dave.
No way. It's like this Dawson Knox guy you've been hearing about people drafting in Buffalo. I was reading and researching on this guy. He never caught a touchdown pass in college.
Not even one?
Does that make sense? He never caught one.
Not a one. That's amazing.
Not a one.
That's pretty tough to do, actually.
And I'm saying, okay, all of a sudden the guy's got hands. So
yeah.
I don't know. He must have grown some hands. I don't get some of these guys that are going early, and maybe they know something more than I do. I know there's a lot of people that know a lot more than I do.
I was listening to the Football Guys Audible podcast the other day, and Cecil Lammey was talking about when he works for the Broncos or whatever, and he was telling the story from I don't know how many years ago. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago, where the Broncos ended up having the final pick of the draft, and they took Richard Quinn, a tight end, and he was from somewhere on the West Coast, or at least the western part of the country. And this dude had like 12 or 16 catches in 4 years. Not touchdowns, catches.
Yeah, catches.
And they're blowing a draft pick on him. Like, my God, what is? And that was a Josh McDaniels pick, by the way. We all know how he ended up in
oh
that.
Yeah, no question. Well, my first time going to Vegas, and I never done this big thing before, and I was all from the heart and picking Giants and everything. My tight end, and this how much I know, was Howard Cross. I mean, that's like brain dead. Howard Cross, I mean, he was terrible. I mean, I learned a lot that first year. I learned I didn't know what the hell I was doing, number one, and I better study a little more before I go out to Vegas again.
Well, maybe you got a few years of Jeremy Shockey at least. Shockey was
thank God. Yeah, thank God. Yeah, but, oh my word. Well, yeah, Howard Cross. Yeah, he got me a lot of points. If they could have had negative points, I would have had negative points.
You are not going to get Howard Cross references on any other fantasy football podcast this year other than the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. John Gifford, a six-figure winner in the FFPC, joins us tonight. Let's talk a little bit about pros versus Joes, John, because you're going to be drafting in this competition on Monday, which we will cover on this show. You have the number 10 pick in the I Must Break You Beat number 5. Now, obviously, you don't know who's going to be there because there's 9 picks before you. But can you let the listeners in sort of on your draft philosophy for when you do have like a pick at 9 or 10 or 11 or 12, sort of, how maddening it can be knowing the players you want, but knowing a lot can happen in the first, 8 or 9 picks to see what you're left with at 10. What's your mentality? How do you treat that when you have a late first but an early second round pick?
Yeah, what I normally do, or I've learned to do over the years, is I wait to see what comes to me, and I don't try to plan like I'm going to take 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, or 2 wide receivers, or a running back wide receiver. I see what falls to me, and I'll take whoever I think is going to be best suited for my team and the roster that I want to build and the construction I want to have. And so it really depends on what falls. I'd love one of the top 4 backs to fall. I know that's not going to happen.
Right.
I've done different strategies in the past, and a lot of times I've learned if people are going one way, I like to go the opposite because I think then you get value with the people that have taken, let's say they go running backs crazy in the first round like they did last year. There's going to be a lot of wide receiver value there. And you can get some running backs usually later. And you can start trends, too, in drafts. You guys know that. Not maybe in the first and second round, but down the road, you can start a trend and psychologically get some players that you want.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. When you're at the 10, 11, 12, or the 1, 2, 3, you can really – actually really like – I mean, personally, I really like the 3 spot and the 10 spot because, like you said, John, you can do that. You can kind of start moves. But then you can also – kind of, I don't want to say screw over, but you can adjust your strategy, depending on what the 11 and 12 picks have done, right? So if they've been taking all running backs heading into the third round, you're like, all right, I'm popping another receiver here because these guys don't have any. So that, and you know that as a veteran, but I mean, it's something great. I really like those areas. Bulky, do you like that too, like the 9, 10,
well,
2, 3, 4?
Yeah. I mean, this year, if I didn't have 1 through 4, I'd like 9, 10. I also like 9 and 10. And in this kind of draft where you've got the 1.5 in the FFPC for the receptions for tight ends, you can't not look at a couple of tight ends early in the second round. I mean, you can do that. It can mess up your draft, though, I'll tell you. It can really mess up either your wide receiver or running backs as far as depth goes. So you really have to know the players later in the draft that you can hopefully rely on.
And we're going to talk to KFFSC Commissioner Farrell Elliott here in the next few minutes. But I can tell you, drafting in Kentucky the last few years, people go crazy over those late first. Like they love sitting at the back end of the first round. And
they do have a 3-hour thing.
Right. I mean, there is
some of us who don't know what that is. That's third round reverse.
Right.
So it's this archaic concept.
Yep.
All right. You don't need to get into that.
I'm just messing around.
Hey, John, I didn't. Okay, I got some emails in for you this week. Quite frankly, none of them were worth the air, but I did get a DM on Twitter.
Nice. I'm glad you.
But no, I mean they're like keeper questions and all this other nonsense that's totally specific to their own league. So I don't want to bring that up. But Sean in Dallas actually DM'd me, and he wants to know how you were treating actually the Giants, which is interesting. How you would treat the Giants differently if Eli Manning was named the starter or Daniel Jones is named the starter, or is there any difference at all?
To me, I'm a Eli fan, but not for fantasy. Let's put it that way. He's one of the last quarterbacks I would take now. Even without the news, he would be. And Daniel Jones, maybe even worse, to be honest. So I think fantasy-wise, if you had to take one of them, I'd take Eli this year. Daniel Jones, I don't think is ready. And Eli, at least he knows the offense. He can get the ball out. I think he's going to have a fair year, but I'm not going to take him as one of my three.
All right, John, which Patriots running back would you rather have this season? Quick hitter here. Sony Michel or James White?
White.
And why?
Well, main reason, I love James White, but Michel's knee bothers me, and where he's being drafted, I mean, they're right back to back. So that really, I think it's fair where they're going. I just think he just has something special, and he can run the ball. Michel, to me, can't catch the ball. He hasn't proven he can catch it. White is just a stud in this kind of a situation, a stud. Yeah,
Dave, we do have one final question here for John, but I will, as to John's point, I'll tell the listeners right now, Sony Michel's ADP, 412, James White's 502. So they are right smack dab next to each other, and you will not get an argument from us, John. We definitely prefer James White over Sony Michel as far as where they are going right now. We have you've been so gracious with your time here tonight, John, and we do have one final question before we let you go and get you let you prepare for your plan of attack for Pros versus Joes.
All right, two questions. First of all, what's your favorite flavor of your own ice cream?
Pistachio nut.
Pistachio nut. Go on. I love the
pistachio nut. Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
We'll with chocolate, so I like a scoop of each.
Oh, great. That's fine too. We'll make sure to get a bunch of cones for the bucket.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so anyway, more seriously, can you give us a guy you're staying away from the early rounds of the season? You can't say Melvin Gordon because you already said him, as well as a sleeper that you'll be looking to acquire in the mid to late rounds.
Well, one guy, it's to me, and I looked when I saw his age. It's Kenny Stills, and he's only 27. He's a guy that you think's been around for a long time too. But I just think he's fairly steady, and in this kind of a best ball type of a league, you don't have to worry about starting him or not because he's going to have some really big weeks and then some real poor weeks. And for a late guy would be Taylor Gabriel. I just think he's ready. Riley Ridley's a rookie. I don't see much from him year one, and I think he's been overlooked a little bit in some of the drafts. And I just think he's going to be. He just came there from Atlanta last year, learned the system, and is getting along pretty good with Trubisky. And he catches the ball. Over 70% of his targets he catches. And those are two guys I'm looking at late.
I like it. I like it quite a bit. I've always been a Kenny Stills fan, no question. And I'm definitely a John Gifford fan. John, thanks so much for joining the show tonight. This has been a pleasure. Congratulations on all your previous success. Good luck in all your leagues this year, including going for that $500,000 in the FFPC main event. And we'll cover you live on Pros vs. Joes on Monday night. Best of luck to you in that. I know you're going to do well.
Perfect.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight, dude.
You're welcome. Thank you. Say hi to Farrell.
Well, we definitely will. Absolutely. John Gifford, ladies and gentlemen. Great man, and love hearing you too, man. Love hearing from him tonight here. We'll see you later. We love hearing from him tonight on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. What a treat, Dave. What a treat.
I know. If I were Farrell, I would probably hang up and I'd be like, I don't want to follow this.
I can't follow him. Yeah, no, I get that. No question. Hey, we talked about at the top of the show what's going on with the FFPC main event. What we did not talk about was that there's a midnight draft tonight in the Football Guys Players Championship. We already saw Kern Reeve. He had to duck out of the chat room. Thanks for popping in, Kern, because he had a draft starting in I believe, Football Guys 3 minutes ago, or maybe it was FFPC. I can't remember. But he ducked out. But the midnight draft tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we want to get everybody in on that. I am commissioning it. So it's very important for me that you all join that tonight. And hopefully you can pop on. I think, what is there, 6 teams, Dave?
Yeah, halfway filled.
Halfway filled. We got about 90 minutes to go, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
So pop on in. I always like watching these midnight drafts. Things go awry quite a bit. Is that a word? Did I make up a word?
Yes, awry is a word.
Awry is a word. And so hopefully you guys can pop on for that.
Disconnected, or what are you doing?
No, we're good. I'm trying to get our next guest here on the air, Dave. And yes,
this is like the Whopper from War Games is making noises.
Would you like to play a game, Farrell?
How about global thermonuclear war?
That's my favorite game. I mean, there is nothing better than that, no question. So great stuff from John Gifford tonight. And we are talking with the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship Commissioner. It is one Farrell Elliott. Farrell, welcome into the program, man.
Thank you, guys.
We're thrilled because normally, I'm one of the big fans of the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship podcast, and normally you guys are recording. Well, I guess it's varied. Sometimes it's Sundays, sometimes it's Wednesdays, sometimes it's Fridays. I know you guys got a draft going on right now, and we're very thankful that you're popping on our podcast tonight to talk a little bit about KFFSC and sort of your football guys teams that you've drafted already this year.
I've drafted a couple of football guys' teams, and I must say that the second one was better than the first one. And when I take another shot at it, maybe that one will be the real team, Balky.
Yes, exactly. Well, you never know. You could have drafted the $250,000 team already. We'll see. We're going to get into the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship shortly. You can always go to kffsc.com to check out all the games and all the leagues that are going on there. Follow them on Twitter at KFFSC. 2 weeks away from main event drafts in Kentucky, Farrell, for the onlines. You guys have, like I said earlier, you've already been cranking out a lot of satellites prior to that, though.
It's been a great thing to have the opportunity to have some satellites. It's kept our players engaged so far through June and July, and we found some new players along the way. I found that everyone is passionate about fantasy football and wants to draft, so we provided. And actually, there's a draft tonight. We called it the Late Show Draft, and it went off at 10:30, and it's got 12 hungry owners in it to sort of sharpen their skills before they head to the KFFSC and then on to Las Vegas in September to be in the FFPC.
Yeah, that's one of the other things, too, that the FFPC audience should know is not only is Kentucky sending some of their winners to the FFPC as they have over the last couple of years, but the Kentucky players have had a good amount of success in the FFPC, hanging around at the top of the leaderboards on the overall for the main event.
That's what thrills me. Stalwarts like Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach and guys that John Rozek have all earned bids into the league, but they would be there playing anyway. Mike Madden of our world. What did they say? What do you say?
So those guys are terrible.
Saying all the guys that you're mentioning that played FFPC,
Mueller,
they all suck.
Rozek, and they're bad at poker.
Mueller, yeah, he did. That's the scouting report every year on Mueller coming from Dave, but I don't believe that I want to buy into that scouting report. But yeah, our guys loved it. Trevor Holt finished second, runner-up by 2.38 points. You'll never forget those numbers. He went out to Las Vegas and won his division. So guys that had never been introduced to FFPC live drafting punched their ticket through our league, and that's always exciting.
So Mueller and Roach are your returning defending champs of the whole thing, right?
They are drafting tonight, Dave. They've drafted already. They are coming. They're each collecting a trophy, and they are thrilled to be headed back to Kentucky. It took us a few years to get Danny and Jeremy down here, but I think we've got them now.
Well, for sure. I mean, listen. I was standing next to them last year with all the trophies that they were collecting, and they needed more arms, Farrell. They did not have enough arms to carry all the trophies. It was insane. They had a lot of success. But what we want to talk about tonight, we're going to get into more Kentucky stuff, but Dave has a question about what I alluded to earlier, some of the football guys' drafts that you've done already this year, including the second one that you said was very good, and your first-round pick in that draft, Dave.
Yeah, you made a really dumb pick. You took Michael Thomas. Oh my goodness, he's holding out.
I think all the drafters in front of us knew that he was not going to show up.
Yeah,
so,
it's common knowledge, and you took it.
Very good. I just had no clue.
Anyway, seriously though, would you still be on board? I mean, the 12th pick for Thomas. I mean, he's a pretty darn good player. Would you still be on board with that, even though he hasn't reported to camp yet?
Yeah, I think so. And our idea was to go running backs unless Thomas dropped, and so we were quite amazed to find that he did. So yeah, it'll be a pleasure lining him up every week and trying to collect those red zone targets that we predict that he'll get. I just like players to come to camp. But call me old-fashioned, but that's just me, So we'll see, but I'm sure he's on his way.
As a player agent, I would imagine you want players to be reporting to camp.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unless it's going to be a big payday and you represent them, then it's a little bit.
Yeah,
different.
that's a good way to get your name in the news. At least say Farrell. It's like, Agent Farrell is holding his player out.
Yeah, right now I find myself on the other end of it with just guys begging to get in. So we're dialing the phone very aggressively, and it's in the old song with James Taylor, he writes send long letters, get back postcards. So I'm having long conversations, and I'm told they'll think about it, and then I get a short text back. But there's magic out there in free agency of the NFL, and damn it, I'm looking for it every minute.
Well, we're rooting for it, no question. And I know you are rooting for the new, freshly minted, well, I guess potentially starting running back, as we'll see what John Gruden does. But for your beloved Raiders, they took with the 24th pick in the draft this year, in the NFL draft, one Josh Jacobs. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of season you think he's in for under Gruden, under Derek Carr, and with all the weapons the Raiders have added this offseason?
I thought about what that kid must be thinking when Gruden today told him that he had to earn his opportunities. And I think he might have looked around and said, well, who else is going to? So that's the reason that, well, was he the third running back we took? Was he our fourth-round pick, perhaps?
I believe he was your fourth.
Yeah, so, as a third running back, I think he has the opportunity. Naturally, he'll be flexed in the FFPC format. So he would likely outscore what would be a flex receiver is what we're betting on. So I'm hopeful that he gets better as the year goes on, and unlike a lot of rookies, does not hit that wall. He's a big power back, and I'm just very, very hopeful that 6-8 touchdowns, 1,200 yards would be in the making, and some good some passes to this player.
Jacobs was at that fantasy sports conference. He
really
did an interview for about 20 minutes or so.
At the FSGA conference?
Yeah, with Matthew.
I didn't know that.
With Matthew Berry.
Sure.
And, so Jacobs was really nice. He came across as a really
genuine,
humble young man.
Yeah.
So
as most Raiders do, Dave.
For whatever that's worth, he's breaking new ground. One of those two people came across as genuine.
All right. Just move on. Come on.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying. Matthew Berry, I love him. I'm just giving him crap. If he's listening, which I'm sure he's not.
He's not. Circumventing the globe for that little burn.
That's having fun.
Let's one of the teams that we've talked with Farrell a lot about, in addition to the Raiders over the years, Dave, has been the Houston Texans.
Fine, I'll move on. You're getting me into this question.
And I will say that we know Hopkins is good. We know what Deshaun Watson's capable of. But one of the interesting players there, Dave, this year is a receiver, not named Hopkins.
I don't need you to lead me into every question.
I'm not leading you in the question. I'm leading the guests into it.
All right, Farrell.
Give the guest needs all the help he can get. Lead away, Bob.
Just crying out loud. Hey, Farrell. Kiki Qt is an interesting player this season. How good are his chances he finishes in the top 25 wideout? Question mark.
By damn, he better, because that Lamar Miller can't find nor stay on the field. So Qt is my pick to collect numbers of pass receptions. Now, he's not going to break away with a whole lot of yards. He's not going to be the deep threat, and I don't think he's as exciting as Fuller. But the way that Hopkins clears the field, leaving the underneath available for a team that rarely has found much tight end receiving help is intriguing to me. So I hope that Qt himself can stay healthy and present a consistent target for Watson over the middle.
Talking with Farrell Elliott, a longtime FFPC player, the commissioner of the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. Follow him and the contest at KFFSC. Check it out at kffsc.com. I have a serious question here, Farrell. I noticed that you took Andy Isabella in both of your football guys' drafts thus far. Now, if Dave Gerzak was not all about Andy Isabella this year, would you have still taken him at the spots you did in those two drafts?
Yeah, I probably would have taken him earlier if Dave wasn't all about him. But actually, no. Dave Gerzak's got a good eye for talent, and I believe that I believe there's a lot of things that we will look forward to seeing in Arizona that we may not be predicting right now. I see Isabella as a guy that comes out of the pass receiving script, creates his own space, and is there to dump the ball down to, and then a guy that can do something with it after he catches it. You know, we're all talking about all the numbers of passes that the quarterback Murray is going to have. I think some of us are forgetting how well he can run. And I think we're looking at a guy here that's going to steal a lot of touchdowns from everyone on this team because he's got the feet to do it. So it's going to be a fascinating year out there, and I'd like to be part of it. And Andy Isabella, if he's good for Gerzak, he's good for me.
He's cheap in redraft, man. He is super cheap.
What about that for a Kentucky team name this year? If he's good for Gerzak, he's good for me.
It's nice.
Too wordy, too clunky. Okay, we gotta find a way to tighten that up.
Good for Gerzak, good for me. I love Isabella. You know, my infatuation with Isabella is really problematic at this point. I watched a 3-minute and 36-second video today about they were interviewing him after the first day of training camp.
Sure. Yep.
And it got into questions like, you know, someone had heard that he was a caddy when he was a youngster.
Right.
And he talked about
D'Annunzio and Noonan.
Yeah, they said that they're like, well, you know, they're like, oh, you were a caddy, and he's like, yeah, and he goes, well, how did you get into that? And he's like, well, my mom just dropped me off at this club and said, hey, I know this guy, you got a job, and he was like 12, and he goes, go do that, and then the guy's like, oh, give me the driver, and he goes, I don't know what that is. When he first started, and then they asked him, they said, do you think it helped you in you know, getting ready for football or anything? And he goes, well, I don't necessarily know. I don't know about that, but he goes, I did lug 2 golf bags up hills all the time like crazy, so maybe it did, you know. So he's just a fun interview. He's such a good person.
Did he ever caddy? What was it for the Havoc camps? Havoc camps? Because I mean that will build character. Hot damn, I'm hot today.
Andy Isabella and Drew Maselli, my 2 favorite caddy stories of all time.
Oh yeah, Drew Maselli has a lot of good caddy stories.
He was a pro. Drew Maselli was a pro caddy. I mean, those stories are fantastic. I want to hear of all this. This fall. Anyway, so speaking of stories, Farrell, I got one for you.
This is good, Farrell.
So 2 days ago, I was talking to my wife, Kathy, and she's like,
love that girl.
She's very nice, and she goes, "When do you?" She goes. And we were just talking about August, you know, because she's going to Door County, which is an area of Wisconsin.
And she knows that you travel for fantasy.
Yeah, she goes, oh, you're going somewhere in August, right? I'm like, well, I don't think so. And she goes, well, where? You know, I'm like, well, yeah, late August. And she goes, are you going to Kansas again? I'm like, what? And she's like, Kansas? I'm like, Kansas? What are you talking about? And she's like, Kansas, where you go for that fantasy thing. I'm like, it's Kentucky. I've been going there for 12 years now. And she's like, oh, yeah, have fun. She could care less.
Yeah. You should have told her.
Well, she's not concerned about your geographic location, Dave, but, you know, women just don't have the advantages of geography because they did not grow up with baseball cards. And, you know, the baseball cards would tell you where players were playing in the minor leagues, and you could learn a little bit about it. Hey, Kansas, Kentucky, they play in basketball every year, so, it's the same thing as far as
the 2020 KFFSC live from Topeka. Can't wait for that.
Farrell, not using the track my iPhone.
No, absolutely not. She's not.
So actually, I do have a real question.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
So tell us what has stood out for you in the KFFSC drafts you've watched so far in 2019.
Will you ask that question one more? I was pouring some bourbon and I got distracted.
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace, enjoy. What has stood out to you in drafts so far?
And by the way,
what am I seeing? Like a trend and that kind of thing?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, yeah, what's going on? Well, you know, guys are really trying to grab as many of these running backs as they can, even though we have a league that mandates that you must start 3 wide receivers. By the 5th round, it appears that so many of the top running backs, guys you can count on to play, are already gone. And it's a situation that seems to be consistent. Guys are waiting on quarterback with one notable exception. Is our good pal Bobby Butterfield, who's drafting 2 of them in single-digit rounds. And I won't tell you the ones that he's getting. They would be available later, but for some reason Bobby thinks he surely wants to have them. And probably the biggest bargains early on, I think, has been Jarvis Landry being around the 7th round. That looks to me like a very impressive bargain. Fitzgerald out of Arizona Someday the performance has to drop, but right now he's in the 9th and 10th round, and that looks sort of exciting to me. Quarterbacks, very, very late. Rivers, Garoppolo, 15th and 16th round, available late, guys that should throw for a lot of yards. So that's kind of what we're seeing so far today.
Yeah, and for anybody who's interested, I'm a big fan of the KFFSC podcast, where you can get Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere but podcasts are available. I enjoy when you, absolutely. I enjoy when you and of course 2011 Kentucky Fantasy Football State Champion overall, Justin McCord, and then of course Rob Fetcher, who's one of the more talented drafters, drafting in Cincinnati and Louisville every single year. You guys will cover live drafts on there for 2 hours, and it's been fantastic. You've done it for KFFSC drafts, you've done it for Football Guys drafts. That is really riveting. And I really enjoy it, so I hope you guys keep that up. As we look forward, Farrell, to Cincinnati and Louisville, we're looking at, I don't want to say the biggest KFFSC main event ever, but it might be as we're getting closer and closer to it, right?
I think so. The Cincinnati has surprised me because there's some guys that have been talking about playing for a long time that I can tell have jumped in. We're close to a complete sellout there. Our online sign-ups are lagging a bit, but perhaps we can stir that up with this appearance tonight and some others in the future. I really am pleased that we have the right people in the room, Balky, and a lot of guys that want to show up and maximize as much play as they can. Sometimes it's an economic decision. Sometimes it's a time-based decision, not only on the weekend of drafting, but through the year with how much a player can seriously put into managing his teams. And I appreciate that when I hear it, because guys, they want to do well, and they don't want to spread themselves too thin. So I can appreciate that. But we've got an affordable price point of $300 a team, and we've got a great weekend, and we want everybody to make the most out of it they can. And our crew from Appleton, Wisconsin certainly does, and has done it every year, and we certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when, boy, this was many, many, many years ago, and I had to call Dave for an FFPC related thing, and he had told me that I'm on the road right now. I'm like, well, where are you on the road from? And it was him and the real Leroy coming back from Kentucky drafting. And I said, well, you drove down to Kentucky to do some fantasy drafts? And then he told, I had never heard of the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship.
That's because we didn't invite you.
Right, exactly. And then I'm like, this sounds awesome. And then the following year, he couldn't hide it from me. And I said, hey, are you doing that Kentucky thing this year? And he said, what Kentucky thing? And I said, well, you drove down to Kentucky last year and you drafted teams. Are you still doing that? Because I'd like to be a part of that. And he said, well, we're taking a 2-seater down. I don't think there's room. And so I said, well, listen, I'll drive. It's fine. And then I think Leroy or Dave or somebody felt bad about it. And then I got to go, and I was hooked ever since then. And it's always
Leroy has been living with that guilt for many years because he's been the pilot ever since. And, at least they didn't send you to Kansas. They could have sent you to Kansas. Yeah, well, it's working out. And you're doing pretty well. So you got that. And are you guys going to host the podcast again from the showroom there at the Horseshoe?
Well, here's the thing, Farrell. I'll be
at the barbecue.
I will be whether I
with all the beef, brisket.
Oh, the smoking rye.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Whether I can drag Dave from the bar, that will be the question. But we will be doing a podcast. Whether Dave's a part of it, I don't know yet. But we will be doing a podcast live there. I have one question more for you, but before I get to that, I do want to touch on, as long as you're on the show tonight, you're in the hubbub of the University of Louisville area there, and Lamar Jackson has always been one of my favorites ever since when he's not destroying Florida State in college, when he came up to the NFL, I always loved having him for fantasy purposes. Two-part question. One, does he take a step forward passing the ball this year and developing his arm on an NFL level? And two, even if he doesn't, does it matter for fantasy because of how successful he is with his legs?
he does take a step forward in passing, but it's not going to be enough. And if you want to try to win fantasy ball in the FFPC, the KFFSC, with a running quarterback, you're going to be largely disappointed. I cannot get out of my mind, and you cannot unsee the first half where of the playoff game last year against San Diego, where they did not score the ball, and he threw only 8 passes. And I'm just not prepared to go into business with Lamar Jackson. Now, somebody wants to have him as their second quarterback. I don't think you're ever going to play him. He will get drafted here in Louisville a little higher because there's great affection for Lamar. And, even Lamar, I saw a blip in the media today where he said, I was just really terrible last year. And I would have to agree with him. But, yes, one play's fascinating, one play's terrible. You've got a lot of other quarterbacks that won't do that to you. So I say buyer beware on Lamar Jackson.
Buyer beware, Dave. Are you bewaring on?
No, you're wrong.
Well, here's the thing.
He gained 10 pounds of muscle.
That is true. He did. He said he was too skinny last year. I think the thing with Dave is once Kyler Murray's off the board, Dave may not take a quarterback till the 20th because they're all the same to him after that.
Whatever. I draft plenty.
No, not whatever. I think that's how you feel about it.
No, I don't. I draft plenty.
There is a danger factor of Dave's involvement at the KFFSC this year because we have a guy that is a pleasure to be with, a fabulous gentleman, but I just really don't know what kind of influence he is on Dave, and it could affect him. That's when the aforementioned Drew Maselli shows his face for the first time live in Kentucky this year. Yes, he is. The hotel is reserved. The air tickets have been purchased, and he will be there.
Oh, my goodness. Look out, Louisville.
Mr. Dave might have to
Mr. Dave is going to rise now. Mr. Dave is going to be like once we cross over from Illinois to Indiana, that's when Mr. Dave is. All right, let's crack a few open on the way down here on I-65.
I don't ever do that.
No, you don't, but Mr. Dave will.
Oh. First of all, it's Dr. Gerzak and Mr. Dave. So it always starts out as Dr. Gerzak. So
right.
You can't. Mr. Dave doesn't show up to do anything.
Mr. Dave is going to be tossing back double captains and brisket at the Smoke and Rye, and then show up to the auction all plowed on Friday night.
Skip the auction.
I'm not on purpose.
Leroy, just take it over. Anyway, so Farrell, if anyone, by the way, this whole event sounds like total crap.
What are you doing?
Based on this conversation, no one wants to go to this. If anyone wants to check out the live Kentucky Fantasy Football Championship this year,
what's the best way?
What would you suggest that they do? Call your phone number, 502, and change whatever the number is?
Yeah, get the change part right because that's what makes it work. 523-5057. We have this fabulously new website. If you go to www.kffsc.com, you can sign up for all the leagues you want, and I'll give you a call and ask you to pay for them, and that'll be a blast. So, if you want to play, you can come here to play, and you'll be playing against the best. There's a lot of FFPC guys that would like to sit down in a 12-team league and see what they could do with Mr. Dave or Dr. Gerzak, whichever one of the guys shows up.
Preferably Dr.
Gerzak. So it'd be great. So yes, sir. Thank you for that, Dave. That's how you do it. And if you can't get here, we're a month out. If it's too late to make plans. We have 20 online main events available, and I hope we'll sell out most of them, and we'd love to have you draft that way, too.
And some of the prizes include FFPC main events.
That's right.
So that's really cool that you can win your way into, if you place in the Kentucky Fantasy Football Championship, and by the way, $15,000 is a
new grand prize. $15,000 this year,
yeah. It's a huge grand prize considering the entry fee. And if you win a main event for the FFPC, next year, $500,000 grand prize. Unless we really fall short this year, and then we'll be back.
All right, we don't need to talk about
it. There's a lot to win. There's a lot to do. But I tell you what, no matter what your result is, if your teams seem to look like mine, which is the Polish cavalry attacking the Nazi tanks, then you will basically still be able to say, you know what, I had one hell of a good time, and I'm going to saddle up and give it another try. We've got a lot of repeat players. It's being our 17th year We've got guys that have been coming longer than they can remember. And, we got a lot of winners in the room, so come on in down here and take a chance of beating some of them.
KFFSC on Twitter, KFFSC.com, 502-523-5057 is where to reach Farrell. Farrell, I say this every year. It is my highlight of the draft season to come down to Kentucky, hang out with all of the people I only get to see once, maybe twice a year for the guys that come out to Vegas. It is such a blast. It is such a great way to spend a weekend in August. And for some of the players, they get to do it twice because they'll go to Cincinnati the previous weekend and then Louisville the following weekend. Plus, main event draft starting in less than 2 weeks here at KFFSC.com. Farrell, it has been a pleasure. I hope to see you at Mile of Music up here in Appleton, Wisconsin, coming up shortly next week. And if I don't, it's probably because Dave is cracking the whip and I got to commission a bunch of drafts. But I will do my best to make it out. In any event, I will see you in Louisville.
What do you mean you're not coming?
Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to see what happens. I don't know.
What are you talking about? You're not. You're coming.
Okay, well, I guess I'm coming. I will see you at my...
There you go, buddy. You're in.
You're missing the hotel room if you have to.
All right, there you go. So I will see you at Mile of Music, and I will see you in Louisville. Thanks so much for popping on the show tonight, dude.
Thank you, gentlemen. See ya.
Farrell Elliott. Follow him on Twitter at KFFSC.com. Check out the website at KFFSC.com. Follow him on Twitter at KFFSC.
I was going to ask how they got that 5-letter domain name. That's pretty
I mean, it is possible. You understand? Like, it's not it's not impossible to do that. I don't know why you're always astounded with something like that.
Try and go to GoDaddy and pick 5 random letters and see if you can pick up a domain name.
I'm not going to do that right now. I will not do that right now. That is going to do it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank John Gifford, Farrell Elliott, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and, of course, each and every one of you. Dave, let's do this again. We'll resume on Friday. Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's skip the PVJ stuff.
We cannot skip the PVJ stuff. We will be back Sunday night, 8/7 Central, for the Pros versus Joes You Will Lose, League number 4. You can catch these guests, former HSFF Hour guests in action. It is Brian Petrunik, Mike Edelman, Biplab Vandell, as well as 3 other FFPC Joes that we're very excited to talk about and see what they do. The Pros, the Athletics, Jake Seeley and Michael Salfino. Evan Silva from EstablishTheRun.com. Silva, excuse me.
Yeah, he's one of our good buddies.
It is Evan
Silva.
Silva.
His name right.
Evan Silva from EstablishTheRun.com.
Elvin Silver.
Yeah, you sound a little Bill Cosby-ish there.
Elvin!
I kept the jello pudding pops and the pie and the flibbly flab and whatever. So that is...
That's better than your Trump, by the way.
Thank you. I disagree. I think his Trump is much better than his Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, great American, always support him. But I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. This is very exciting because we're going to have Matt Schauf, a former co-host of this show from DraftSharks.com. 4 for 4 is John Paulson. My buddy from Rotoballer, Josh Hayes, is going to be on as well. So that is what is going to make up the Pros. That's going to be a very exciting draft. Check out the Maiden Dynasties. Check out all the FFPC best ball leagues at myffpc.com. It's, I've never, I've been with the organization for, 12 years now or whatever. I've never seen drafts fill as fast as they have been at all levels this year, Dave.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty impressive, actually. By the way, we might get you a cross pen or something for the 12 years, so thanks.
Oh, well.
We got to go to Things Remembered, though, and pick it out.
I know the people that own that place.
Nice.
So we're all set on that.
We'll get you the nickel one, probably not the stainless steel. It's a little bit expensive.
Hey, nickel's better than wood. So I'm down for that.
The nickel cross pen.
Hey, one other thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show tonight, the FFPC mobile Android app, now available exclusively at myffpc.com. If you want the FFPC Android app, there's one place to go.
Don't go to Google Play, for crying out loud.
myffpc.com. You can check out the FFPC blog as well as our Twitter and Facebook accounts. The link is there. You can download that. You can, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, deposit funds, register for leagues, and draft on that. I believe you can also manage your leagues from that app.
Yeah, you can do it all. You can do it. Well, yeah. I'm not sure about waivers. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was okay. Well,
I think you can.
I was under the impression you could. I was also under the impression about some other things about this app, and I was wrong.
Yeah, that's my fault. I should have informed you.
It's not your fault. I don't want to get this. Yeah, Blitzdomania already.
We've already argued about it.
Not on Google Play.
Actually, we didn't argue at all. I apologize. My bad.
Best Ball Superflex double ups available at myffpc.com. And one other final announcement as we bid you adieu so you can sign up for that Midnight Football Guys draft, which currently has 4 spots available. Starts in less than an hour. Check that out. If you sign up for the FFPC main event and you are waiting on your main event draft slots, no need to email us. Monday, you will be getting an email from us with where you are drafting at Planet Hollywood or online. You will get your main event draft slot coming up on Monday. So that will be very exciting for you. We'll talk to you again Sunday night at 8/7 Central for Pros vs. Joes.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. That was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
We're on the famous floor, even more so if we on tour. Me and E explore the country, wondering about the evening before. Trying to explain where the time went, while other rappers find a studio to grind in.
You know, it's been a while since we had 2 guests on, and normally I preview what's coming up next Friday, and I won't spoil it too much because we have live drafts coming up on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of this week for Pros vs. Joes, Dave. But I have a feeling that come this Friday, people are going to be so enamored with our 2-hour live draft coverage, they're going to ask for another one. So coming up next Friday,
oh no,
be ready.
Shut up.
Potentially 2 hours worth of a live, not Pros vs. Joes, but a Football Guys Players Championship live draft. We might get the whole thing in.
Sweet.
9/8 Central next Friday. We're going to go on an hour early, but more to come on that. 8/7 Central is where the place to be is here on blogtalkradio.com, and we will bring you the Pros vs. Joes number 4 live on Sunday night. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you Sunday night.